I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
3, 2, 1. This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy Utility Time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Time of Spirituality. It is time for a brand new episode. And this one was recorded back, I believe, in the fall of 2023. And it's where I ask that question, what is the difference between faith and belief? And then we take it into another realm, which had to do a lot with spiritual bypassing. But I'm going to be releasing some of these episodes where we talk about the difference between belief and faith. And with that, I've brought up in the previous 2 episodes that I want to take the show in a different direction. So thank you guys for reaching out to me and letting me know what you'd like to see on the show. I'd love to hear more. So yeah, just go ahead and reach me on Instagram, or you can even reach me through my website. There's a contact page there if you want to send me a message. Any and all suggestions are appreciated because I want you guys to enjoy what's being presented. Also, I have an in-person regression coming up on November 9th, 2025, and that is in the San Diego area, more specifically Carlsbad, California, and I'd love to see you there. So the link is going to be in the description. One last thing with that, sort of different, but same. I have another Instagram account now. It's more of a lighthearted account where I'm going to be doing memes and stuff like that. It's called Karmic Musings. So just go ahead and check that out. I'd appreciate it if you gave it a follow. I hate asking that, but please. Yeah. Anyways, with all of that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist or my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now it's time to begin. Felicity, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm super excited to be here.
It's going to be fun, different. We're going to do our best to keep our composure. I think we'll be okay.
I think we'll be fine. We'll be right.
Are you ready for the first question?
I'm ready. Yes.
And my hands are going up as I ask, what is your favorite song about time and why?
Okay. This is an interesting one for me because I find music, depending on how the artist has their own meaning behind it, we all have our own interpretations. And one song that always comes to mind is by Aurora, and it's called Runaway. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that artist.
Hands are going down.
No, she's amazing. It's super ethereal. She's very like that. But this particular song really talks about, for me anyway, with the interpretation that I take from it. And it makes me emotional nearly every time I listen to it. And for me, it's such a song of running away from everything, that like escapism that we do, that bypassing that we can do, that looking for home in other people, until we reach a point in time in life where we realize that there really is that only home that's within. So we shouldn't be looking out for that validation to find those things. And I find that, at least I think, that most people eventually hit that point in time in life where they are realizing that they stop running from their shit, turn inward, and then find that soft place to land. Because that's what she talks about in this song. It's like, I was running for a soft place to fall. And it's running to all the external things, waiting for something else to come along, when really it's like, we've been the answer all along to all of that. So that's why.
I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's amazing. 2016, by the way.
Oh, so it's a newer one.
It's a newer one, yeah.
Cool. That was Aurora Runaway.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Are you ready for the next question?
Ready.
What do you believe in?
Oh, good question. My beliefs are forever evolving, unfolding. And, you know, for example, I grew up in the Catholic Church. That's my background. But I've always considered myself more spiritual, but really the core of what I believe in within my own personal growth, within spirituality, is that it really is just that, like again, with the song, coming home to self. It's the exploring of our inner world. It's the connection to our soul. It's the connection to spirit, of course, but really it's that reconnection to ourself. And to me, that's the path of spirituality. The modalities, the tools, the, certain types of areas, pockets within the spiritual community are all part of it, but it's not the spiritual path. The spiritual path is that coming home to self, the self-exploring and all of that. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. But ask me again in a year's time and I might have a different answer.
I'm curious, coming from your background in the Catholic Church, what do you feel the difference is between belief and faith?
Oh, good question. I feel for me, belief is something that I hold, that's within me. And like I said, they can be forever unfolding. Faith is having a certain amount of belief in that, but faith in something bigger than something that we can't quite see or truly understand everything about. But there is that faith there that I'm a forever optimist. I'm so optimistic. So faith for me is just something where it's like, I've always got faith in humanity. I've always got faith in myself, in the people around me, and in the work that I do. But the belief, like they just forever changing, like I said. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't think there's any right or wrong answer for that question.
No, not at all. It's all perspective.
Mm-hmm. Are you ready for the most difficult question I'm going to ask you today?
Okay, ready.
Who is Felicity?
Oh, okay. Forever evolving, that's for sure. I always hated that question in interviews of like, tell me about yourself in 3 words. I'm like, I can't in 3 words. But forever evolving. But however, I will say the core of who I am is someone who is very optimistic, someone who is incredibly resilient, someone who holds someone who is very curious. So I'm a seeker of knowledge. I'm a seeker of information. I'm a seeker of what's within my own self, looking back into my own trauma. And I'm also, on top of that, I'm a psychic. I'm super intuitive. I've had these abilities since I was little. I was in the spiritual closet for like 15 years. I'm a mother of 2. I'm a Capricorn sun, Pisces moon, and Aquarius rising. And that's my answer at the moment, but forever evolving.
You're an Aquarius rising?
I'm an Aquarius rising.
Sorry,
yes.
I heard everything else, but that's the Magick rising sign right there.
It's good fun.
I'm a little biased.
Are you an Aquarius rising?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that all signs are created equally, except for the Aquarius rising. I'm sorry.
No, I love that. Look, I think for me, like the Aquarius rising is something I really resonate with. The Capricorn sun, there's elements of it, but the Aquarius rising, I mean, we don't like authority. I've never liked authority. We are the rebel. We're a little quirky or a little eccentric. We've just, we're interesting characters, which I like.
Yeah, it's the best of the rising signs. Therefore, it's reflected in the individuals who hold that rising sign.
Yeah,
and I'm not biased or anything. It's just the closest thing to a fact that you're going to find on this planet is that the Aquarius rising is the best out of all the rising signs. That is a universal truth.
Universal truth here. Speaking universal truths.
That is the only universal truth I'm going to spout. Okay. With all that said, we're here to talk about, I don't want to say toxic spirituality necessarily, but toxicity in the spiritual industry, the spiritual realm. So what comes up for you when I say the words toxic in spirituality?
Oh, gosh. Anything that creates bypassing, anything that takes you further away from yourself, anything that takes you away from your own inner truth, any form of manipulation, which is easy to spot for me. I can spot that, and I can feel the energy behind it, but it's not easy to spot for everyone. And the tactics that people use, they're there, but like I just really, at the end of the day, it's bypassing. It's like you can't bypass your shit. You can't. Oh, and also one thing I will say is I find it to be really toxic, and I understand that some people have good intentions behind it, but to be teaching something, and like when I say, I don't just mean talking about, I mean actually teaching something that they either don't have any experience in, or they might be having a life experience around it, but they have not moved through the life experience. They have not done the integration. They have not worked through the trauma, through the healing. And so you can't teach from that space. So I like to talk about some of the things I'm going through, but I won't teach on everything because I don't like to really bring that into my work unless I've worked through it, unless I've resolved my own trauma around it. That's something else.
Well, I mean, does that have to do with more of the shadow or personal components, or even more metaphysical concepts? Because that is one of the things I wonder. I mean, everyone has a shadow, but more of an unresolved side. Should that prohibit someone from teaching something that's metaphysical?
I don't think necessarily it should prohibit. I think, like you said, like we all have shadow. I've done a lot of shadow work, but there's still shadow, and it still appears its ugly head at times, and I have to confront things. But I think that if you're teaching, especially if you're coming from a place of healing, right? Like you're working with people who have experienced severe trauma. You're working with people with who might be suffering from mental health issues, things like that. You do not want to have a whole lot of shadow that you have not worked through, that you have not acknowledged, that you're not actively working through. You might have come so far and then thought, you know what, I actually feel ready to, step into a teaching, step into a modality and being a service provider. And that's great. But you need to also be making sure that you're continuously working on your own stuff, because we can't think that we've arrived. I don't think we ever fully arrive, right? To arrive is to be super enlightened, which whatever that means, but Jesus status. I don't know if this is going to be universal truth, but probably no one in this lifetime, or at least not me anyway, is going to reach Jesus status ever. And so I just think that you just need to be making sure that you're still continuously working on your stuff and doing your own healing. But it's not to say that you have to be completely healed in order to teach or in order to be a service provider. It's just making sure that you aren't teaching from a space where you haven't really dealt with what you've experienced or what you've gone through, because that can easily be projected onto the client, can be easily projected onto the group. And we need to be really mindful of that.
There's not much I can add there because I agree. I personally, I've shared this story before on the podcast, that I was in a class that was called Contemplation and Inquiry. This was back in 2017. And it was pitched as the gateway to mysticism. But the topic of, I think it was week 5 or 7 or something like that, was shadow work. And that was the first time I'd heard of the concept. And I sat there listening to this thinking, this is a bunch of horse shit. This is a load of horse shit. Like, what? And I can't remember what the exact context was, but when it came around to me in the discussion, I said, no, this is stupid. Why should I do this? I already know what my purpose is. I'm here to help save the world. Why would I waste my time on shadow work? Boy, what an idiot I felt like after that. Because that was the way that that was my own bypassing. And here's the other side of that. I was already a past life regressionist at the time. I was already doing it professionally. Now, fortunately, as a practitioner, even back then, I knew what I knew and I knew what I didn't know. But man, was I kidding myself, because I thought, what's the point of this shadow work thing if I'm going out there and healing the world? I've found my purpose. Everything else is just a fucking waste of time. One of the things that I think you may have said this, but not in this respect, something that irks me that I often hear when I speak about shadow work is, well, at some point, everyone's going to be forced to confront their shadows, and they're going to have to. And I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, maybe they're going to have to confront it, but that doesn't mean that they will.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
What comes up for you with that?
I mean, I think that we all reach a point and different points in life where we are confronted, and it's like we almost can't run away from the truth anymore. But we can sit in that truth and choose not to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's there. It's wanting to be confronted, but it's us meeting it. It's us going, okay, here's this shadow, here's this darkness within, here's this unhealed shit I haven't dealt with, everything coming at me. Am I going to sit here and ignore it, or am I going to sit here and befriend it and get curious? Like, hey, what's up? Like, what information do you have for me? So I think that we do get confronted with it, but like you said, it really is up to the individual if they're going to go ahead and do it. I know people who continuously get confronted with their shit, and they continuously recognize it, but just go, I can't do this. And there's no judgment on that, because we don't know where people are in life. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know what that might bring up for them and the fears that they have with that. So I would never judge someone for not doing their shadow work. I think that it's coming with more compassion to those types of people. I have them in my life, those types of people as well. And so I try to come with more compassion versus like, why aren't you dealing with your shit? Right. So I think that's something to like keep in mind. But yeah, we all get confronted with it.
Yeah. I mean, I try to practice that perspective of, I mean, yes, it is tailored to the individual.
Yeah.
And look, I'll just say you're a better person than I am, because there is a part of me.
Not always.
Well, I'm sure you got your stuff. I got mine. But I think some of my frustration comes in the package of when shadows that have been neglected are then projected upon me. Like, if I'm not being affected by it, I mean, maybe that's the wrong way for me to look at it, but like, yeah, you do you. But the second it's projected on me, that's when I'm like,
yeah. It's difficult to deal with. I've used to get so triggered by that, and I used to not have a good response to that. But now it's more like, okay, I can detach from that and realize that is a projection, and I'm going to hand that back to you because that belongs to you. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you. Doesn't mean that like I'm not going to be affected by it emotionally. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I don't give a shit. Sometimes I actually am, but I don't allow myself to take that on and then try and place that somewhere on me. Like, oh, maybe that is in me. Maybe that is here. And actually just be like, that's yours. I'm giving it back to you. But at the same time, always open to feedback. Always open to, having my shadows pointed out in a nice way, right? Don't come at me in a non-nice way, because I won't respond well to that. But, I've got a lot of Scorpio in my chart, so I'm not afraid to dive into the shadows. I'm not afraid of the death, the rebirth, the phoenix rising. And I have someone great in my life, my partner, who is really good at pointing out those shadows. And again, in a really loving way, doing it in a different way, like, I guess probably to say they wouldn't be my partner. It wouldn't have been a long-lasting relationship. It would have been like, okay, bye. And that's probably my shadow there as I speak of that.
So how many Scorpio placements in the 8th house?
I don't know exactly how many in the 8th house. I'll have to actually have a look at my chart. I always look at my chart and then I forget all the houses all the time. But like one that comes up for me, right, is I've got my Venus, which is in Scorpio. We're intense. Okay. Venus Scorpios are intense. Uh-huh. And so I find a lot of my shadow comes up within relationship. And I could put that to childhood for sure, easily. But I find that that's really part of my, at least in this lifetime anyway, of working through the shadow of relationship. Plus my Libra I've got my South Node in Libra. And, that's like a whole lot of codependency, which I've been really working on, and the, past people pleasing, and then stepping into the Aries North Node of more independence or interdependence in relationship.
So you get it.
I get it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this may be one of those episodes where I think we have a very probably similar viewpoint and similar approach. I mean, because, the whole Aquarius rising thing, that was really close in age. So we'd probably have our Plutos in basically the same spot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a very early degree Taurus North Node and Scorpio South Node, but, still pretty close to, but, the 8th house activities. I got you.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, shit, had I known this going into the episode, I'd be like, I'm glad that you're here, but I'm like, damn, it's not going to be a lot of variety there with that. It would just be like, yeah, I got you. So with all that said, what's your view on the modern spiritual wellness industry? I know that's going to be a vague question, but still, I just want you to take the wheel on that one.
Yeah. Okay. It's a big industry. And I think a lot of it has been exploited. I think a lot of it, there's been a lot of people, a lot of corporations who have stepped into that field with not the best intentions, that are definitely out of integrity. But I think at the same time, it's created more awareness into mainstream, which is a good thing in many ways. And then also it has its negatives. But my overall opinion on it is kind of like two things can exist at the same time. You can have the shit show of it and you can have the real great side of it, and they can both exist at the same time. What I just have an issue with seeing is a lot of the cult-like mentality within the modern day spiritual wellness community. A lot of the bypass, my way is the only way. I can't stand it when someone will say that, like, I have the only answer to your problems. It's like, no, I have a answer, and it may work for you and it may not work for you. If you want to come along and see if it's for you, great. If it's not, like, all good, we're fine. I find a lot of ego within the community. But in saying that, with my forever optimist and the faith that I have, there's also a lot of great people. So I think because I have that within inside myself, I see a lot more of that than I do the negative, but I definitely see the negative. And so, I'm aware of it, and I just tend to roll my eyes at it a lot.
So something that's been reflected back at me when I brought up some of my concerns with the industry, I would say it's also a very bypassy response, which would be, well, maybe it's just the person's path to work with someone like that, for them to receive that information because it's part of their path. So maybe you're just supposed to sit back and not do or say anything. Like, huh? So what comes up for you with that? I mean, look, I'm a past life regressionist first and foremost, but
yeah, I think that's it's a hard one, especially when you're like, yourself, like your heart's in the right place, and you don't want to see people go down those paths that really veer them in a different direction than you really think that maybe would be of benefit for them, right? Like, this way is probably more benefit, or don't go down that path. But at the same time, it's like, who are we to tell people on like which path to go down? In saying that though, I think that, this is where my belief systems, sometimes I question my own belief systems, which I think is a good thing to do.
Awesome.
Because I do have the belief that there are certain experiences that we have that really, we're kind of meant to experience. But then there's also others that we just might head into that, sure, we learn something from, but did we really need to go through that? Did we really need to go that avenue? Did we really need to go that way? Or could we have learned that same lesson through a different path that wasn't going to be as detrimental? So that's where my belief systems get a little bit questioned sometimes. I think of sometimes like this might be a bit controversial, but the twin flame community. Sometimes I think within that aspect there that I could look at that and I could say, people, I can see your face right now. I can look at the twin flame community and I can say, that's a pretty big catalyst into someone's own personal awakening and growth. But you can also have a great catalyst and awakening and growth in a way that is not going to keep you stuck in cycles and patterns in trauma bonds and in unrequited love and in these back and forth running, chasing dynamics. And I tend to have a look at that. And I don't get frustrated with the people that are in it, as in they find that they're on that journey. I get frustrated with people who are monetizing off of that taking advantage of people, keeping people stuck in cycles, in trauma bonds, in abusive relationships, or for this concept of you're meeting your other half and you merge together. That's just rooted in codependency. At the end of the day, to me, and again, like things are just labels here, but I think what a lot of those people are looking for is a sacred partnership of a conscious relationship. And that is a partnership where you do your shit together. You do your shit individually, like you're healing individually, but you're also doing it together in a safe container. There's no running, there's no chasing. There's two people choosing each other, showing up every day, choosing commitment, choosing to have the hard conversations, choosing to do life together. They're not doing it apart. And so that's just kind of where I have an issue with that's part of the community, which is a huge freaking community. Just put in twin flame hashtag or put it in like YouTube and all the videos and the tarot readings that will come up. And I'm a tarot reader, like I do tarot. And that's like one part though, that it's just a way of using a tool. It's a way of stepping into a belief system and monetizing off of that and taking advantage of people's own like vulnerabilities. So that might be a bit controversial to some people, but
You're in good company here.
yeah, well, I mean, I just stand firm on it. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be someone else's truth, but it's my truth. So, yeah.
I mean, I lose a chunk of the audience every time that it's brought up, but that's okay. I mean, because
okay.
I've brought it up before, but it's still one of those things where I see danger in it.
Oh, no, seriously, there is a lot of danger in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not just talking about some crying tears danger. I'm talking someone could get killed over that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's where I see that danger.
Yeah.
And
I keep hearing it, sorry, just quickly, and I haven't seen it yet. I was going to watch it last night, but I'm going to have to watch it soon. I have a real fascination with like learning about cults and things like that, and like just looking at the tactics of what people use to create those types of environments. And there's a new one on Netflix about twin flames and a cult within that. So, and I've heard some pretty crazy stuff about it, and I look forward to listening to it. And again, some people could say it's just a biased opinion or it's just one opinion, but yeah, I agree with you. It is dangerous. Well, there's a lot of dangers in there.
yeah, and the documentary could be sensationalized. I mean, I personally haven't seen it, but and here's the other side of it though. When I have clients who come to me who believe in that, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I roll with it. And I mean, I will still ask questions, not to challenge them. You know, it's like, why do you believe that? It's just, what comes up for you with it? You know, how do you see it? And what are the potential benefits? You know, as opposed to where can it be detrimental to having this view? And it usually, it comes from that place of, oh, well, I had a reading and I was told that this person was my twin flame and I'm going to wait for them. And it's like, okay, well, what opportunities are you missing in the meantime if you're waiting for them?
Like great people, great connections, great sex. Like, I mean, like you're missing out on a lot of things waiting for someone. But I think that's really beautiful that you do that though, that when people do come to you with those belief systems, that they aren't questioned in the way of like judgment. And look, I've had people like that come to me before as well. And I just get curious. I'm like, okay, so what is this dynamic here? And I kind of start to ask some questions around that. I find that people end up unlocking things in their childhood or past relationships. And then, you know, it's like just showing people, not like telling them what they should believe or telling them that they're wrong. For my belief systems, maybe I might think that they're stuck in a trauma bond. But it's truth to them, right? It's their truth. So it's just asking questions of curiosity. And if that plants a seed for them to maybe become a bit more curious about their own situation, great. And if not, also great. Like it's up to each individual, right? Like who am I to say that you should or shouldn't be on a journey? But yeah.
So I'm going to bring up a controversial take right now, one that I brought up with you before we recorded. And this may alienate some people right now. This thing that I'm about to bring, I don't know why I'm really revving this thing up, because in the past I've taken a different approach. And that is, I have a new opinion that I've formed and a new belief. And that belief is, aside from, I'll say, so it's not an absolute statement. I think there's always going to be an exception to the rule. But I think it is really important, if you want to be a spiritual practitioner or coach, that you do so after your Saturn return. I used to be of the mindset that age is nothing but a number and certain people are very gifted. But as I've been around a little bit longer, I think that on the whole, no matter how much life experience you have before your Saturn return, I think it is important to go through your Saturn return. I bring that up also because it's important to acknowledge any toxicity I may have partaken in as a practitioner, and also seeing where it was done to me. One of the things that I still have some residual anger around is this premise of purpose and higher evolved souls. Not that I don't believe in that, but that's a lot of the garbage that was fed to me when I started to come around to this. And it played some tricks with my head in that respect and made me see myself in a different way. Now, fortunately, I was also very silent about these things. I wasn't out there like, hey, everyone join my Starseed group or anything like that. I didn't get on social media until I'd already been a practitioner for 4 years. At that point, I put that part of myself behind me. But I don't think that when that was projected on me, I don't think it was done in a malicious way. I feel it was coming from a place of people who were just very broken, and they really needed that. And therefore, it was a matter of, who else can I bring on this journey with me? And that's one of the places where I still have residual anger in what I see out there is, look, everyone's on their own journey, but I just have an issue when you bring people down with you because you buy into your own bullshit. So I'll come into the toxicity component after that, but what comes up for you with that one?
Look, I think that I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying. And I think that, when you speak of purpose and these higher souls and things like that, it does create this pedestal, right? And that is definitely a manipulation tactic that some people will use. However, not everyone, like you said, is like coming from a really malicious space. But purpose, to me, when I think of purpose, it's forever evolving. Like my purpose is, I might have a core of it, right? But it's constantly evolving. It's constantly shifting, and I'm listening to those shifts, right? And I'm kind of getting curious with those shifts. And when it comes to, I think when you speak about the Saturn return and maybe waiting till then to become a practitioner, I think that, like you said, there's an exception to the rule. Absolutely. I definitely know some people, a few people who are in their 20s and they are like freaking incredible, right? And I would say they're the exception to the rule. And I kind of look at it like, for me, and I can only speak on my own journey, and that is like, I started reading cards when I was 17. I've always had an interest in witchcraft, things like that. I would say I've been on a conscious spiritual journey. And when I say conscious spiritual journey, I just mean like actively participating in it, right? Like for the last 19 years. And I feel like I've lived about 3 lifetimes in my 36, almost 37 years. Like really literally feel like I've lived 3 lifetimes. I've been through a lot, like a lot of people have. And for me, I look back in my 20s and I was nowhere near ready to be stepping into the work that I'm now. It has prepared me for it. 100%. It's been a part of my journey. It's totally prepared me for it. And it was around my Saturn return that I started to really dive deeper into this work and go into the shadow work, into deep healing, into opening up my childhood trauma, to confronting things from my past, to letting go of abusive connections and relationships. Yet still, that was like a 4-year process before even actually stepping into this work as a service provider. That's my journey. It's not going to be the same for everyone. I do think there is an exception of the rule. However, I totally understand what you're saying. I think it's really easy to experience something, but maybe not fully work through it, heal it, and integrator, transmuter, all of that stuff, all of those fancy spiritual words. And to do that, and then it's like you're ready to speak from that place. You're ready to teach from that space that will actually help people, so you're not projecting your trauma onto people. And this is what is like becoming trauma informed. It's so important for practitioners, service providers to be trauma informed, because the last thing that we want to do is to re-traumatize someone or to project our own trauma onto another individual that is already traumatized, that already has dysregulation in their nervous system. So I think that it comes with life experience, absolutely. It comes with our own healing, our own working through our stuff, and it comes with maturity. And some people might reach that at an earlier age, and I say that's the exception. And then, I mean, I guess I haven't seen a study on it, so maybe it's more than the exception. I don't know. But I can only speak from my personal experience and that others I've spoken to that, really stepped into this after their Saturn return. There is something to be said about the Saturn return. And it's a bitch. And it is one of those times that you'll be confronted with everything. And you have that choice of, I work on it, I work through it, or I just continue to move in this way that I've been moving through for many years. So I hope that answers your question, but that's definitely my thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I'm going to move through a little evolution right now. And one of the things that started to snap me out of all of that was when I decided to take my astrology class for a couple of years. And I've had mentors along the way, trusted mentors who have been great. And when I decided to take this class, one of my mentors said to me, "Don't take it. That's only going to slow you down. You're far too gifted for that. You don't need that." And that was that moment where I finally started to take that step back and say, huh? Huh? What? Why would that slow me down? What? And why the fuck are you telling me I'm too gifted to take a class about energy in the planet? So it's like, this has been my pipeline for a lot of this stuff. So maybe I should look at this. And then when I took that class, I mean, it just changed my life because it was a slow and steady process of understanding energies in a more tangible way. And where it wasn't just, you're gifted, you're special. So, that helped a lot. And, in doing an episode like this, I think it's also important to point out where I may have had those toxic traits. And like, this is one that's just, it's not fun to talk about. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And I don't want to pass the buck. But like I said, I didn't come on to social media until 4 years into me being a practitioner. And I stayed away. That was even as a past life regressionist, but I wasn't in that ecosphere up until that time. And so this was at the beginning of COVID. And this is the other thing that I have an issue with. And I've brought this up on the podcast before. I don't care how open you think your eyes are, you are still susceptible to deception. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but people are going to get shit past you. When I came into this ecosphere, a lot of what I was seeing was, you attract the clients who are right for you. And while that may be true, this was also parroted in some of my certification programs, where it was just like, oh, this is some new age bullshit right here. But when I had it on repeat and being COVID, actually scrolling through, a feed, because I'm like, I'm on Instagram now. I'm going to start following these spiritual accounts. I haven't seen this world before. Oh, I attract the right clients for me. Oh, the world is falling down around me. Oh, this and that, this and that. So a question I started to ask myself is, what is that unique quality that I have that others don't? And that was the time when, I'll say this, now I kind of have the perspective of, you say more by saying nothing. Whereas then it was, oh, I'm going to tell them how it is. And still knowing what I know and knowing what I don't know. But instead of helping and assisting someone, I don't want to say coming to the conclusion that I want them to come to, but helping them come to their own conclusion by asking questions and inquiring, and then not straying it in a way where it's like, I want them to come to this conclusion. It's just, no, they're going to get there on their own, whatever that is. But that doesn't mean that I don't have to ask questions and inquire. So that's where I feel that a lot of that toxicity played into my practice a couple of years ago it was ego. Just plain and simple. It was me thinking, oh yeah, I got this. I attract the clients who are right for me. They find me for a reason because I'm the only one who can do it this way. And while I still have that belief now to a certain extent, it just looks different. That's when, like I said, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth because I could go the path of, well, that was part of their path as well. So they were just supposed to find me so I could tell them how it was because that was part of their growth. Or I can sit there and say, you know what? I could have done better. I should have done better. I could have done things differently, and I should have done things differently. Whether or not that was part of their path, I could have done things differently. So what comes up for you with that?
First of all, I love that you share that. I think that it's so much easier and nicer to share the sides of us that we are really feel very proud of, right? Versus maybe the times where we think, I could have done better, or we're laying in bed and we're cringing about things that we once said. Those types of moments as well. But no, I really appreciate you sharing that. I think when it comes to, when you speak of that, like with the ego, right? Like it reminds me of like this spiritual ego, right? When people go like transcend the ego, I'm like, why? Like the ego mind is there for a reason. It creates survival and all of that. It's just when it's in the front seat, the driver's seat, and the soul's in the back, that's where we get into trouble, or we can get into trouble. But I think that, it's very easy for people to fall into the trap or into the way of thinking, especially if you tend to, and this is probably just more of my own personal opinion, but when people tend to have a spiritual awakening later in life, okay, versus maybe always technically like had that way of being for a really long time, I find that it's very easy to step into that why isn't everyone like this? And why doesn't everyone think this way? And why aren't people awake? And why are people asleep? And I can't be friends with this person anymore because they're atheist, or I can't be friends with this person anymore because they don't share the belief system, or they're not awake enough, or they're not healed enough, and all of that. That's just spiritual ego. Same as thinking that we have all the answers. We certainly don't. There are things that we'll never know until the day that we pass and we're a soul again, and then we have full remembrance of everything, right? At least that's my belief system. And I think that I can look back on my own journey, and I think that this does come with the fact that I started as a service provider later in life, and I had done a lot of that work. From the get-go, I was really clear on my code of ethics, really, really clear on that. I was really clear on my values. And had I been maybe doing the work that I'm doing now in my 20s, when I was in the midst of a lot of chaos, I could have totally easily been more in a space of like, you're wrong, I'm right. Right? Coming from that space of spiritual ego very, very easily. And I think that something that I did struggle with when I was really stepping into more of my spirituality, really evolving in that way, expanding, like our level of consciousness and things like that, which is just our awareness, really. And one of the things that I did fall into, and I caught myself out on it, and that was, and I didn't do this with clients because this is before I stepped into this work, but I would have a friend that would be talking to me about her problem, and I'm getting all this information, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you need to do this, you need to do that, and really unsolicited, not being asked, and thinking that I have the answer to their problem, or thinking that, go this way, listen to me, and everything will be fine, versus just allowing someone to explore it on their own and walk that path that they're meant to, or that they choose to. So that's why I think that for me personally, it was a good thing that I started the work that I'm doing now when I did, because I had dropped a lot of that yucky stuff, I would call it, or like the stuff I think about and I go, oh, totally gave unsolicited advice there. I shouldn't have done that. I mean, I hate it when people do that to me. So why would I do it to others? And thinking that like, but I have the answer, And look, 9 times out of 10, they didn't listen. And I did have the answer.
And you were right. Yeah.
And I was right.
Yeah.
But however, that wasn't my place. It wasn't my place to say that when I'm not asked, right? And so that's my thoughts on that. And I think that when you talk about seeing a lot of things like we attract our clients, we attract the clients meant for us, I do hold the belief system that I will work with those that will benefit from working with me and who I will also learn something from, right? Because I'm learning as I'm teaching. But I certainly don't have this, kind of with what you were talking about before. And I know you mentioned that your belief has kind of shifted on that. Like you still believe it to an extent, but it's shifted and you think of it differently. And I think that's kind of like with where I am at as well. So yeah, I'm happy to expand on that. But if that helps, if that answers, then yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, same thing, Aquarius rising. And by the way, for everyone listening, I know you guys have heard me say that many times about Aquarius rising being the best sign. While it is true, I mean, it's not completely ego driven. I'm just saying it in jest. While being true, I'm saying it in jest. So it's like, that's not the ego we're really talking about. Because, like I said, there's the universal truth and it's just irrefutable. But that's neither here nor there right now. But one other thing I do want to bring up, and I definitely want your take on this. This is what I want to advise people on. Just because someone is gifted does not mean they have it figured out, and does not mean that they are acting from a place of integrity.
100%. Yeah. 100%. And you see that, and I really see that in like the psychic world. Absolutely. There are so many talented and gifted people who are not in integrity or who are projecting a lot of their own belief systems and they're coming through in the reading, or they're not clearing their own energy and detaching. So their energy is actually coming through in the reading. You be really mindful of that. But absolutely, I think that there are so many people that have a lot of knowledge, have a lot of wisdom, and you could look at them and go, wow, like this person, gosh, I could really learn a lot from this person. But we've got to be mindful of those red flags, okay? Because is this person keeping you in your sovereignty, like saying you're a sovereign being, like you own your spiritual path, no one else does. Don't get stuck in dogma. Allow yourself to explore. Like you mentioned, you had the mentor that said, you don't need to go and do that. You don't need to go and explore astrology. But yet you're feeling that inner instinct, that intuition telling you, hey, go and explore this. So who is anyone to get in the way of the intuition? And this is where we need to learn discernment. This is where we need to be connected to our bodies, because when we're connected to the body, we're connected really strongly to our discernment and to the intuition. And so to be connected to the body is just being in the body with the somatics, right? Clearing out the stuff that's in the way of that. And like I said, like who has the right to tell you that? I would never tell somebody who came to me, for example, I do mentorship on helping people to uncover and discover and strengthen their intuitive and psychic abilities. That is one part of the work that I do. And I'll have people who have worked with me for 3 months, then some who've worked with me for 6 months, and then they graduate. And I want people to graduate from my spaces, from my containers. That means that, great, you have learned what you needed to learn in this space, and it has helped you in some way. Awesome. That's incredible. But now you're ready to explore more. Now you're ready to graduate. Now you're ready to explore this topic, this modality that I have no experience in. Go to this person, go and find someone that helps you with that. And that's important too, I think, for coaches, mentors, anyone in this field. It's like you want people to graduate. I love client return. Like I love it when clients return, and I have a lot of clients returning, but I'm also so happy when someone is ready to move forward to the next thing, because I'm like, awesome, job well done. And this person has exceeded and they've done so well themselves. They've grown, they're evolved, and now they're ready for more. So I think that's just something as well that coaches, mentors, etc., need to be better with. And it's not to say that there aren't others out there who are great with that, but I think the ones that are more got into this space for money and not in this space for service will come at that place of like, no, I have the answers. Stay in this container. Stay with me. This is where you're going to, this is the only place you're going to grow. But if you come from service, you know when you have done what you've needed to do, and then the person can graduate, they can move on.
Well, I mean, with that also, I think what I've observed over the years when it comes to, getting to know practitioners, is it service of others or is it service of self?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of expand upon what you just brought up too. And please be frank with me on this one. I do give my 2 cents still when it comes to the suggestion, and that being, there are times when I have people saying, just kind of jumping into all of this, oh, I want to go explore this type of psychic work and this type and this type and this type. And I will say, under the right circumstances, I don't think now is the right time. I think that what's more important right now is to work on shadow work. And I can give you, some referrals for that. But that's my take on it, because I think that was it one foot in front of the other? Mm-hmm. And I personally believe that sometimes you need to take one step backwards in order to take 10 leaps forward. And I don't think shadow work is necessarily a backward step, but sometimes I think that if you jump into, again, not trying to take away business from you or anything, but if you jump into that too soon without working on those parts of you prior to really, it's like I brought up with that class, how pissed off I was when the way it was pitched was the gateway to mysticism. And not only were we focusing on shadow work, we're also focusing on language and this thing called the dyad, where you just talk for 10 minutes and talk to someone about what's coming up. I'm like, what is this horseshit? I signed up for the gateway to mysticism. But as the years went on, I understood that was the gateway to mysticism, because there was so much I was carrying around, and I am still carrying around. And I think even as someone who's been doing this now since 2016 as a practitioner, there are things that I probably haven't explored yet. I mean, I may be going slower than what's necessary, but I also feel that there are fundamentals that I still need to learn. And more importantly, master before I can really step through that gateway to whatever mysticism is. So that's where, I'm going to say that's where I would offer up my suggestion. But that's also to say, like, look, you do you. You know you best. I'm just a past life regressionist, so I don't know. But that's my suggestion. And I'm not always going to be right. That's the other thing. It's just because that's the way that I see it, that doesn't mean that it's right. And ultimately, while I probably can see things that some people can't see, as I say that in a most pompous manner, I still think at the core, everyone knows themselves best. So who the hell am I to say that? But I do feel it's important to say that. So what do you have for
honestly, that? Honestly, I agree with you. Shadow, okay, first of all, when you talk about like the gateway to mysticism, right? There is an initiation that takes place. There is an initiation into a lot of what we do. We go through initiations just in life outside of spirituality and within spirituality. Shadow work is a part of psychic work. It is. It's really dangerous. It can be really dangerous for people to step into psychic work. And by that, I mean, start opening like the third eye like crazy, start connecting to beings that they have no discernment about. And it can become really dangerous for people that are suffering from mental health issues, right? Mm-hmm. And they can start to, it's not to say they're connecting with like bad energy, but they can start to have their own shadows, their own trauma, their own mental health affect and distort what they're receiving, distort what they're experiencing. And then it can send people into paranoia. It can send people on a really, really dark path. Look, I've experienced it. I had a really good friend who, like, honestly, she is very intuitive, but she was stepping into the psychic work before doing any shadow work. And it was, to put it bluntly, a mess to witness. And as a friend, I was like, look, you said suggestion. We're not telling people what to do. We're suggesting. My suggestion is that you should try this first. But this is an individual who had a lot of trauma and didn't know how to confront it, didn't know how to deal with it. And sometimes people don't want to because it's painful. You're not sure what's going to come up. And a lot of people hold shame, and shame is one of the hardest emotions to work through and to sit with. It's really hard to sit with the energy of shame. So a lot of people don't want to go into their past because a lot of it can bring up that feeling of shame. So I agree with you. Shadow work is a part of psychic work. End of the day. This is why when I go into the mentorship with people, I'm having like a talk with someone first before I even take someone on. Because I need to make sure, first of all, we're a good fit. Because you might be amazing, but I might be like, I just don't think I'm the right fit for you. You know, for example, I don't do mediumship. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I can teach you mediumship. I don't do it. But I'll have that talk. I will, discuss. So I listen to their goals. I will get a feel of their energy and see if it's the right fit or not. And I do say no to people. I have said no, and it's not out of any sort of like, sorry, not good enough for this space. It's just like, it's just not the right fit. And that's okay. But there'll be someone else out there for you. Or I think to myself, holy shit, this person's got a lot that they need to work through and they haven't even touched the surface of it. I would be so out of integrity and it would go against my ethics to have someone start the process of really going deep into the psychic, like into the psychic abilities, into tapping into all of that, because it can become dangerous. It's not something to mess around with. It's not something to just be like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to do this and it's great. And it can be fun, absolutely. But it still comes with a level of discernment and a level of safety that is required. Just simple as that, creating that safe, sacred space, knowing what you're doing, understanding the fundamentals, like you mentioned, the fundamentals. And sometimes we need to, with those initiations, reach a level of mastery of some sort before we're able to step into the next thing. For example, I'm really stepping into womb work at the moment. This is something I used to roll my eyes at in the spiritual community until I felt this intuitive hit to start doing it. I hold a lot of trauma in my womb space from past abuse. And I started to step into this and I'm like, holy shit, this is so amazing for me. It might not be great for everyone, but it's so amazing for me. But am I going to go out there and teach it tomorrow? No. If I even was to go down the road of teaching it, I need to go through an initiation process of that. I don't need to get a certain, and I don't need someone to tell me, oh, you've arrived, now you can do it. But I need to work through all of that and get a full understanding of the fundamentals, of the basics, of the foundation, and have a level of mastery before I can even go into teaching that. The psychic stuff, the intuitive stuff, I would consider myself an expert in. I don't know everything. They're absolutely not. But this is stuff I've been doing since I was 20 plus years. I haven't been teaching it for 20 plus years. So that means I'd be teaching it when I was really young. But I've been it's just something that's been a part of my life for a really long time. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I agree with you. And that's the thing. Shadow work is important. Whether you want to call it shadow work or not, it's extremely, extremely important.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna play the game right now. The How Have You Grown In game. So as you can see, I like to maintain the integrity of the game. So in this bag here,
love it.
I have 4 different things, and I don't know which one. I mean, I know what's in there, but I don't know. So you see, I'm not grabbing onto one in particular as I'm mixing them up. As you see, I keep removing my hand, swirling it around, hand out again, and I'll do one more swirl. So, Felicity, my question for you is, how have you grown in the last week?
Oh, the last week. Woo. See, this is a good one. Okay, let me think about my last week. I swear time is just non-existent these days. Okay. In the past week, have had some major procrastination come up in my life, right? And it was coming from a place of fear, that place of overwhelm, the place of, I don't think I'm good enough for this. All that stuff we have in our mind, our subconscious, no matter how much we bring that to the surface and work on it, it sometimes is still there. It's just that we have the tools and the knowledge to work through it. And so the procrastination, I definitely have just getting to that self-discipline, gave myself a kick up the ass and continue moving forward. And also, just in regards to how much I've grown, I could say the past 2 years with this, but especially, even within this last week, within the container of my relationship, within relationship itself. I'm someone who, again, like I would consider myself in a conscious relationship, but I wouldn't teach about it because I'm in the middle of it. I'm like someone who's like, guys, no, my whole rest of my life was really toxic men and abusive relationships. Like, no, like I am not an expert on conscious relationships, but I'm in one and I'm learning. And this past week as well, I've, really grown even further within that container, within that space. So that's how the last week, that's how things have shifted and grown for me. Yeah.
That's a big week.
It is. Oh, God, I swear it's like every week. It is like that. It's just my life. I don't know. It just is. You know what? I think it's just I'm in that season at the moment. I'm in that season of real of further growth and shifting into the next part of my evolution. So it's more like really here at the moment. But 6 months' time, I hope to be in probably not so much in this space. But yeah, it's part of the initiation. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, Aquarius rising, right?
Yeah. The best.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have some final thoughts and just some final comments. And that is just to anyone listening to this, that where you are on your journey right now is, no matter what you're experiencing, is okay. I'm not saying if you're experiencing really hard things, I'm not saying that's okay, but don't think you're behind. And when it comes to exploring spirituality, go where you feel called to. Explore where you feel that intuition, that pull, that call to, and knowing that it's okay to shift your belief systems. Absolutely. It's okay to question them. And just to be really mindful of the red flags out there. Use your discernment when it comes to working with people. I even myself, I'm a service provider, but I still work myself. I still work with healers. I was working with someone who does craniosacral for a while, working on my nervous system. And know that those people that you're looking at working with, that they're still doing their own stuff. And you'll know because they'll talk about it. They'll be like, yes, I'm working on this at the moment. This is what I'm experiencing. This is how I'm growing. This is how I'm evolving. They'll talk about it. And at the end of the day, I just want to finish this with spirituality is a journey back to self. It's a journey back to wholeness. And what does that mean? It means accepting and loving all parts of you, including the shadow, including the difficult feelings, the difficult emotions, the parts of you that maybe someone told you was unlovable or you feel is unlovable. It's coming back to wholeness with the acceptance of all. And it's the coming back home to the soul and connecting more to the intuition and understanding at the end of the day, you're wonderful as you are in this moment and you can continue to grow and evolve, but the core of who you are is perfect. And that's it. Yeah.
Aquarius rising. So where can everyone reach you?
Okay. My Instagram handle is I am Felicity Erin. You can reach me there. I do collective weekly readings and I share a bunch of other stuff in there and what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, things like that. Just other teachings. I also have a mystery school called Into the Fire Mystery School. You can reach me at www.intothefiremysteryschool.com. And I have a membership on there for women who are on their own path of self-discovery, transformation, spiritual journey, but done with the spiritual, like the superficial spiritual work, ready to dive deeper. We do women's circles on there, whole lot of stuff. And also, I'm going to be adding more to that as well. I've got my tarot course coming, learning how to read tarot intuitively, which is exactly how I read tarot as well. So I'm going to have that coming soon in December of 20. I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but it'll be December 2023. And yeah, that's where you can reach me.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for being here today. This was, I think, a very informative episode. I think that there's a lot of good nuggets in here, and just thank you for being open and vulnerable. I think that that's really helpful just to see practitioners leading by example. So thank you for coming in here and sitting in the hot seat. I greatly
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the conversation. It was fun. It got a little spicy at times, but that's just also part of the Aquarius rising. I don't know if it is, but it's part of my personality anyway.
Oh, we're going to want to do things differently.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of that may be the Scorpio.
Yeah.
But anyways, I always like to finish these by saying, well, yes, thank you for being here and yay. Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.